Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have an episode of my top 5 from my Facebook group, Interior Design Business Strategies. Make sure you search it up on Facebook if you're not already a member. Request to join, and we'd love to have you there. And every month I go through the top posts, and I like to share them here with you. I don't divulge anyone's names or anything, but I like to just, if it's got designers in my group talking, then it's going to be something that you're going to want to hear as well. All right, let's dive in now. The Naked Truth IDBS top post. Here we go. So number 1, someone had asked, how honest are you with a friend or an acquaintance when they ask you how well they've decorated their house and if it's actually not good at all? This is a tricky one. This got a lot of you talking. So most people said that they find something nice to say about a space, which is nice. And the main response being that if the person is happy, if your friend is happy with their space, then you really got nothing to gain by telling them where they went wrong. All right. Or pointing out any sort of mistakes that you see. I think for me, it depends on the person. It depends on who's asking. It depends on if I know that if there was something that I really thought was, really out of place, really wrong. Again, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of make that judgment based on how you think the person would take it. If I knew that it was a friend that would be like, seriously, like, don't give me any BS, like, tell me up straight. Did I mess this up? And I might be like, well, if I were you, I would have hung those pendants in the kitchen a little bit lower, or that isn't the right style of knob to go with, this look that you've got going in your bathroom, or that sort of thing. So I think with that, it's more or less, just gauging the situation and figuring out if that's, if it's something, and or maybe you're just having a day where you just want to smile and say, it's fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, this looks great. Oh, lovely. Thank you. As long as they're not going around saying, oh, well, my friend Sally gave her seal of approval and she's a top designer. And you're thinking, oh God, I just didn't want to hurt your feelings. Right. So yeah, I think that's one of those things. It's a great question. It got a lot of you talking, and most people really, really nice, saying, you know what, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all, which sometimes I absolutely agree with. So I think I just have to see what the situation was. But yeah, if it's also something that they can't change, right? Like if it's something someone's put in and it's not terribly, terribly terrible, then I might be like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, that's kind of a cool thing. Yeah, way to go. Yeah, if you love it, that's great, right? If it's, because some things, if it's a design of a space or architectural, I mean, what are they going to do? Rebuild the house, rebuild the space? Probably not. So, sometimes maybe just smiling and just saying, yeah, love it. Great. All right. Number 2, one of the gals said, was just venting a little bit, having one of those days, should I quit this SHIT kind of thoughts. Right. And, we all have those times. So she's just talking a little bit about a receiver that she used on a big job on a 1-room project to date. And they messed up several things on the projects. With the delivery. And that's always, it's always so frustrating. And I always find that, hang on, before I jump in there. So now she's saying that the clients have lost a little bit of faith in her and she's scrambling to get things back on track. And that can happen, right? I mean, you go through a couple of things on a project. I find that for some reason, you got those projects where everything goes wrong, right? Everything goes wrong. You're like, okay, that was on back order. That came in damaged. The contractor was late for that got chipped, and you're just like, seriously, what else could go wrong on this project? Right. I mean, it happens, right? It happens. So, and yeah, you want to make sure, I mean, the main thing is just getting that client trust back, because that is one thing you don't ever want to lose, because once that starts getting a little bit shaky, then it can all go downhill from there, and not in a good way. Right. So anyway, and the other thing that had happened at this point was this designer had said that they were working remotely on this because of everything that happened with the shutdown and COVID. The clients wanted to continue, so she also felt like she really needed this job because a lot of clients at that time were shutting down projects. I know it was happening to us as well. So just feeling a little bit defeated, and then just other things that are happening in your personal life that, that she mentioned. So what I love, first of all, I have to say in my group, what I love is all of the support. The feedback, it was so supportive, like it's just great to hear other people. And sometimes that's all you want. Sometimes you just want other people to be like, yeah, I've had that happen too. Or, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm working on a project and everything's going wrong. And it's, the clients are not sure now and I'm panicking. So it's just trying to get your composure as quickly as possible, figure out what's going wrong, what can you fix, because there's going to be some things that you have no control over. And that's why it's also so important to have these conversations with your clients right up front. Have these conversations with them from the get-go, like, hey, these are some things that can go wrong. In fact, I just found out yesterday that this fabric that I chose for a client, there was two. One is on back order for another couple weeks. That's no big deal. And the other one is discontinued. And, I was picking fabric at this point just to get a feel of what she likes. So I don't go and check out the status of all the fabric and the cost. I just grab some and say, okay, am I going in the right direction here? We're working on my designer by your side services. And, so I said to her afterwards, just remember, like, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that none of these are back ordered, right? Because she loved these two fabrics that I loved as well. And of course, I get the call. I email in my design center and yep, the one's back ordered. The other one's, one's discontinued. So that's devastating. But I mean, I let them know about it. So, it just sometimes, as long as you let clients know that these are things that can go wrong, these are things that can happen, but your job is to minimize the stress and to make sure that you can, have everything run as smoothly as possible. But there's going to be hiccups, and that's the nature of our job, right? I mean, we're relying on other people. It's not just us for the most part when we're doing, offering our different services. So, so people were saying, take time out, step away for a few hours, clear your head, go for a walk, regroup, which I always find to be a great thing. Even if I'm working on like a design, I've been looking at it for 3 hours, I'm doing a basement redesign, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I need to just walk away from this and come back and just see what it's going to look like in an hour when I've had lunch and gone for a walk with the dog, that sort of thing. Also someone's saying, it will be something that you look back on as a good learning point, right? So we always have these learning points, which is why I'm here today and why I share with you like my wills in my group. If you're there, that's what I did and what I learned, so we look back and we go, oh God, that was a crappy time. But you know what? This happened because of that, or that made me stronger, or now I've learned, not to do this, or I don't work this way anymore. So the other thing I was going to say, other people that were saying, sorry, I've made my notes here, is read, when you're having those crappy days, I have a folder in my email, and it's, and I think I even have one in my Facebook that I save posts, and it's called Nice Things People Say. And so if I'm having a crappy day, then I can just go open up that folder and go, okay, you know what? Sometimes the SHIT does hit the fan, but look at all these lovely things that people said to me, whether it's clients, you as designers for coaching, or things that I've offered for free and sharing. And, I just go and read that and I think, oh, okay, things are better now. It's okay. This is because we always seem to be able to dwell on the bad things, right? The negative. And like I said, like the current situation with COVID is adding extra stress. Plus, if you have little ones that are going back to school, I mean, all of this stuff can add, maybe you have other personal things happening in your life. We all do, right? The other thing that I just want to say is remember that this is not an easy business. Like, this is the thing. I think a lot of people, when we get into this business, we have no idea what we were getting ourselves into. I mean, we were just like, I just love to design. Like, I love looking at, how to put a room together. And, I've got a good eye for color and mixing fabrics. And, so we just think, oh, this is great. And then when we get into the business, we realize, holy shnikes, this is a lot of work. There's a lot of things we need to know. We're wearing, a million hats. We got to make sure we got our trades. We got to make sure we got our suppliers. We got to make sure we have our processes. So this is not an easy business. And because it's your passion and you have a love for all things design and decor related, starting a business to follow our dreams seemed easy enough, right? But wrong. Like it's a lot of work. And because, as I was going to say, because we're so passionate about what we do, we give 110%. We want to please people. We want our clients to love what we do for them. So when things start to go wrong, which, again, it's the nature of the business. It's life, right? We just want to fix it as quickly as we can. And sometimes we can't always do that. So the truth is that I just want to remind you this is that you're taking on a huge responsibility, right? A huge responsibility and liabilities in ordering products, overseeing trades, doing designs for people's homes, like where they live, where they spend nowadays a lot of their time, right? So there's so much that can go wrong. We're dealing with people's biggest investments, and where, they make all of those memories that are going to last a lifetime. So that's why being organized, having confidence in what you do, and charging accordingly, for the value that you bring, and your expertise is so, so important. This isn't easy. All right. I have to go let my dog in before he breaks down my door. All right. The third one, number 3 here, is for all the designers running a one-woman or a one-man show, how many projects do you juggle at one time with no assistance? What's your average? So that's got a lot of obviously comments, people sharing what, what their workload is, how many projects they work on, what type of projects. And that is a little bit of a tricky / loaded question because we all work so differently because of our business models. Someone may be doing e-design only, right? And so then if you're doing e-design only, then maybe you can have 12 projects at once and it's quite easy, or 20. It depends on, but what are the size of the projects? Maybe you only do full homes. So maybe you only balance one project a year because you're doing the entire home and it's like, the budget is in the millions, right? So that can be tricky because of all of those variances between how people work. And most designers' responses were pretty much as I expected. People saying they're running anywhere from like 2 to 3 projects. Someone saying up to like 20 to 30 projects. I personally used to run anywhere from 9 to 12 projects, but we also worked, again, my business wasn't like a million dollar design build sort of projects. We were working more on like, was doing 3D designs for a client basement, or maybe I had 2 or 3 of those and a main floor going at the same time for the 3D design concepts. Then maybe those clients would hire me back for a designer for a day to help them pick their finishes for their space. And then I've got, 2 projects that are, say like a full custom design and project management. But it depends where you are in those, right? I mean, when you're at the beginning, that is when you're like chugging away, and you're sourcing and then you're presenting. And then once the clients approve it and they pay for the furnishings, you can kind of just be following up every couple of weeks, right? But that nothing's coming for the next 3 to 4 months. So it's an interesting question. As I said, obviously got a lot of people talking because we love to share, what we're working on, how we do things, how we balance. It's just very tricky to try to compare and say, oh, well, how are they balancing 12 projects? Or how are they doing, why are they only doing 2? So just a little bit tricky in that way. So don't get too caught up sometimes in what other people are doing. It's like what other people are charging. Everyone's got their different goals. They've got different areas of where they live. They've got different, if they're, niching themselves. So there's a lot of different variances and variables, I should say, with that. So anyway, so just something to consider. What else? I made some other notes on here. Let's see. Also think about, how do you like to work? Okay, so that was a point I wanted to mention, was, do you like to have different projects happening all at once? Like some people are just better if they have like 1 or 2 projects. They know exactly what's going on. Maybe you've got little ones at home. You can't juggle 10 projects, 8 projects, right? So that's pretty much, I already talked about my 3D design concepts. Right? So you've got all these different types of projects that you could be doing: designer for a day, designer by your side, full service. Maybe you just got a couple consultations in 1 week, like all this different stuff going on. If you're thinking about hiring someone though, right? Like this is what I would say, is that look at what you don't love doing and what you don't have to do yourself. And that should be those should be the first list of things that you outsource. What you don't love to do, right? And what you don't have to do. Okay. So you just need to keep that in mind, that a junior or a lead designer can help you with designs and sourcing and placing orders. Is that what you need help with? Or do you need an admin to help keep you organized, to help you stay on top of your emails, to answer and respond to phone calls, and perhaps picking up and returning samples and fabrics? Or maybe you need someone to do all of your social media, or you need someone to do all of your bookkeeping and accounting. So just make sure that when you are feeling that you're at the point where like you can't juggle all of these projects, what's got to give? What needs to give? Where do you need the most help that's going to help take something off of your plate that you don't love doing so much? Number 4. Okay, so this was interesting. So someone asked, does anyone else have the same husband as I do? Not me, not my Chris that you heard earlier. How often we should change out furniture, she says. I think it's every 5 to 10 years, depending on what it is. And my husband says every 25 years or never. How expensive is my taste in furniture? She says. Hers is expensive. Husband is really low, right? So then it was just like laughing, like little emojis. So I think this is really, really interesting. A lot of people weighed up, basically saying a lot of the same, this very similar, like that their husbands, are not keen on spending a lot of money in the house, or they don't necessarily see the value. And I think that it's really important that we have to remember that if this is something that our other halves are feeling, and I'm not just trying to say to men, there's men designers out there that have partners that maybe they feel the same way, or whatever, right? So I think what's interesting is that if you're thinking that it's hard to convince your own other half about the value of furniture and quality furniture and doing things right and having a plan and doing it all at one time and setting money aside, making sure that you've got contingencies for things that are going to inevitably arise. If we're having trouble explaining that to our spouse, you bet that, what do you think our clients are feeling? Like, our clients are also in the same boat, but they don't have the knowledge, the most part, and already understanding the value that we bring, which we already know. So I think it's really important that you need to think about that, because a lot of times we do hear people saying like, oh, I was met with a wife and everything was going swimmingly. And then, the husband came in at the presentation and he didn't want to spend this and he thought that was too expensive. So it's just really, really important to make sure that right from the get-go, when you're meeting, and I mean, you may not always be meeting with both partners, I get that. But, I've been in situations before where I've come into the consultation and I can tell straight away that the woman is the one who wants me there. The wife is the one that's hired me, and the husband maybe have his back up a bit, or he's like looking at me like, oh gosh, she just wants to spend all my money. So what happens is that, as I'm in the consultation and as I start educating them about how I can help, which is what I do, is I first sit down and I go through my outline of benefit of services with clients in my folder. That's how I take control. And I explain how I can help. This is what I can do. This is how, the benefit of hiring my services. And then as we start to go through the house and we start to have conversations about things, and the husband can see I'm not just on her side, so to speak, right? Like, I'm not just all for what the wife wants. And just by the way, like, a lot of times I actually get the man calling me, and sometimes it's only the man. I have a client right now that I meet with them both when I present, but every email, every phone call is always with the husband. I love him to bits. He's a great guy. So it's not always this one way, but it just because of the way that this post was positioned and asked, that when I'm in the consultation, I have found that I can turn him around, without like trying. I'm just doing my thing. Like, I'm just chatting about, I'm saying like, well, here, I can see what, Brian's saying about this here. And I would probably not invest in that. Like, it's good the way that it is, but over here is something like this is starting to deteriorate, and this is what you should look at first, or da, 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 and then, the husband is usually like, oh, okay. Like, okay, she knows her stuff. Like, and that's why it's also so important that as you build your experience, that you are drawing from these stories. You are telling these stories, because the more you can tell a story, the more you can share from your experience, the more credibility it's giving you, right? And then they're going to be like, oh gosh, yeah, okay, well, yeah, they do this every day, and oh, I never thought about that, and oh yeah, she has some good trades, so that would be helpful. So all of these things. So we need to educate our friends, our family, and our other halves of why things are so important. And then we need to extend that to social media and blog posts. You guys know I'm huge on that. Like, your first blog post should always be your most frequently asked questions. So you can unless your goal is to like drive thousands of people to your blog straight away. But I mean, initially, do blog posts and make sure your social media is geared towards answering some of these frequently asked questions that you get from clients, right? Or potential clients, or myths about working with a designer. My own husband, when we were doing our bedroom years ago, window treatments. I mean, I'm a big stickler for custom window treatments. I mean, they just make all the difference in the world, don't they? They are amazing. And I've never had a client when we put up the treatments after and they go, they're okay. They're always like, oh my God. I even had one lady who waited like a year later. She called me. She's like, okay, we're ready to do the treatments. And then they went up and she's like, why didn't I just do it last year? And I was like, oh, Anyway, So I digress. My husband, same thing. Like he was like, can't we just like go and get something from like, off the rack? And I was like, no, like I talk to my clients about the importance of window treatments. You're going to have them up there for the next 10 to 15 years at least, like, and I want them to be good. I need them to be blackout. It's in the bedroom, and it's going to tie everything together. Golly gee, and I don't use the phrase golly gee, but those window treatments went up, and my husband came home and he was like, oh yeah, they look really nice. I'm like, right? He's like, it finishes off really nicely. He said, it's really lovely. It's really lovely, darling. I said, thanks, darling. Right? So just keep that in mind, that if you know that it's a struggle for your own partner to get on board in investing in furniture, and just think, they're not even paying you because you already have the expertise of knowing exactly what you need to do. But now you've got clients who are trying to sometimes convince their husband to invest in your services, even just the consultation for a paid consult. So just something to think about. Food for thought. All right. And finally, someone had said that on their Instagram account, this is number 5, on their Instagram account, today, an Instagram account that I don't follow or know went through and liked about 50 of my last Instagram posts. Is this a latest tactic to gain followers? I find it annoying and it seems so fake and a desperate attempt to gain a new follower. Does anyone else have this happen to them? So the responses were, a lot of people said that they did. I did it. Oh yeah, someone said, sorry, I did it to someone one time. I was fangirling. LOL. So yeah, so that's one of the things. And I found out that wasn't something that you should do. My friend Vanessa Francis, who I interviewed, and I have a free giveaway actually. I'll put a note in the comments below, but we have a tip sheet on, the tips on building a better brand on Instagram. Or building a brand on Instagram. And yeah, one of the things I know I had done is I'd gone through and I see someone's stuff and then I heart all their pages and I go down and I'm like, oh, I like that. I like that. My friend's like, don't do that. That looks like you're a creeper. That looks like you're stalking them. I was like, oh, okay. But I just, I like their stuff. And they're like, yeah, but that's from 6 months ago. You don't go and like something from 6 months ago. Okay. So anyway, so that could just be it could just be somebody who is just found you and really likes your stuff and is just going through your feed and they're just liking all your stuff. Could it be a tactic? Yeah. Let's see what else. Someone says, this happens to me a lot. Typically someone follows me and then likes a bunch of photos within a short succession. My assumption is that they found their way to my profile page, followed me, and then scrolled through my profile, liking as they go. I find it flattering. It means that they've spent quite a lot of time reviewing my work. Exactly. So that could be it. Someone says, though, check your direct messages, your DMs. A few designers said that because it could be creepy people being spammy or just totally innocent is what on the other end of that. So yeah, Instagram is a funny little beast, and I call it a unicorn. Everyone wants to crack Instagram, and I think some people just don't know what they're doing when they're going through and they're liking all of your stuff from like the last year and a half. Unless of course you then get a message and then it's a little bit spammy. And usually if I get any messages I get on Instagram that says like, get more followers, and I just delete it. I delete and block those people. So yeah. So I think maybe don't be too hard on people because some people don't really know what they're doing. And if they do, then you'll figure it out. And maybe they're just trying to get you to go back to their profile and go, who are these people? Okay, well, I'll follow them. And then, in a couple of days, they unfollow you. It's just the biggest joke and waste of time. And I don't even know how people can be bothered to do that. I don't know if it's an app, but I'm not interested in knowing either. So, yeah, maybe we just give people a little bit of the doubt, unless you feel that someone's creeped you in a weird way and you get some weird direct messages. All right, that's it. That has been my top five IDBS posts. So if you're not already in my group, Interior Design Business Strategies, make sure that you join. It's on Facebook. You'll be asked 3 questions upon joining the group. Answer those questions and give us 3 to 4 days to submit after you submit your request. I thank you all for being such a supportive community. If you're already there, you know what a great tribe it is. And I appreciate all of you. And yeah, have a great day. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Tell a friend too. Go and tell a friend about the Naked Truth, TNT. It's dynamite clarity for your interior design business. Cheers.